The defendant is now charged with the murder of 7 young women. Sandra Castilla from 1993, Valerie Mack from 2000, Jessica Taylor from 2003, Maureen Brainerd Barnes from 2007, Melissa Bartholomew from 2009, Megan Waterman from 2010 in June, and Amber Costello from September of 2010.
The accused Long Island serial killer from the Gilgo Beach cases, all those bodies found in Gilgo Beach years ago. And little by little, the cases have been solved. Now, this accused serial killer, accused in 6 cases from Gilgo Beach. The 7th was from earlier in another location. But I want you to take a look on the map, and you can see where these victims were found, where their remains were left. In Long Island, you've got Melissa Bartholomew, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Amber Costello, Megan Waterman, Jessica Taylor, and Valerie Mack. And you can see where all those victims are. Now, he's also charged with murdering Sandra Castillo, but her remains were found in Southampton, which is in a different location than here. Now, there's been an arrest in a case involving Tanya Jackson, who's known as Peaches. Her torso was found in the Hempstead Lake State Park in 1997. More remains were discovered along the Ocean Parkway in 2011. And Tatiana Dykes was her child, known as Baby Doe. Those remains were found in April of 2011, all again in that area. Andrew Dykes is the accused killer. He's the man who has been arrested. So you've got more bodies that were discovered here, and you can see where Tatiana is right in the middle of all where the other bodies were, and Peaches, Tanya, a little bit to the west, to the southwest of where those bodies were found. But prosecutors are saying it wasn't the Long Island serial killer. It was this man, Andrew Dykes, who is apparently the father of Baby Doe. And that's how they put some of those pieces together. But here's the question for me. Now, this gets very complicated, right? You're about to try a guy for being a serial killer, and now one of the bodies that is found there is linked to a different alleged killer. On the other hand, you're going after this other alleged killer, Andrew Dykes, and the body is in the midst of all these serial killers. Are they going to end up pointing the fingers at each other? Right? You're at the trial of the accused Long Island serial killer. He's pointing the finger at Andrew Dykes. When Andrew Dykes goes on trial, he's going to point the finger right back at the Long Island serial killer. What does this do to the case now? Let's bring back in our think tank, Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Jennifer, I'll start with you. What do you think happens here? Does this make things, and it's great police work, right, that they're putting together, they're identifying people, making arrests, but does it make the case or cases more complicated?
Well, Vinny, I mean, the location of the bodies is certainly confusing, that everybody was sort of found in the same area. But, you know, we have DNA, and DNA links Tatiana and Peaches to the killer in Florida, or the alleged killer in Florida. And the other women are linked to the serial killer, Rex Heuermann. So I think it's, as I said, location is a problem, but I think that, you know, the cases will go forward, and I don't think they may try to point the finger at each other, but I think there's enough evidence to be able to prove, you know, who did what here.
Darnell, I can't tell you how many times on Court TV through the years that I've seen, you know, sort of pointing the finger at some serial killer that's out there, you know, the boogeyman, the unknown. Here, when Andrew Dykes goes to trial, he can literally point the finger at a serial killer.
Yeah, it's very interesting because typically in most states, the defense, we just can't pull a rabbit out of a hat. We have to give notice of what they call third-party culpability. That's something that says it's plausible. We have to do an offer of proof and show why we're going to be saying someone else did it. You can't just be saying, a boogeyman did it. You have to give a basis for this, a legal basis. In this particular case, I think that even though both of these men seem like horrible people, horrendous, I think that at the end of the day, If I was a defense, I'd be celebrating, because all you have to do is raise reasonable doubt. And we tell jurors all the time that if, in fact, you think this could have happened, you even feel strongly this could have happened, that doesn't raise to reasonable doubt, and therefore it equals not guilty. All those feelings you may have equal not guilty. So all those doubts that they're going to be raising right now, I think is going to provide a benefit for the defense.
Al?
Disagree. In fact, I think this demonstrates that the police have done an exceptionally good job in their investigation. I think it demonstrates that the police have not just basically said, oh, it's him, and just thrown everything in his way, okay? They sat and they looked at every case individually. And the MO of this case is different than the MO for the cases that are being, that are being looked at right now. Andrew Dykes' MO is the body was cut apart. Part of it was here, part of it was there, part of it was somewhere else. So what you've done in that type of a situation is you've demonstrated that he's done it differently, okay, than what is being accused of with regards to the, the other serial killer in this case. So that's the whole thing. The police have done a great job, and it's going to bolster their case and make it stronger in the long run.
But Al, you're telling me, Al, as a defense attorney, you're not going to raise this issue to raise doubt? I mean, this is what we do. I mean,
you can raise it. You can certainly raise it. But
how do you say you disagree? How do you say you disagree that a defense attorney is going to celebrate the moment? We need stuff.
Okay, so here's the problem, though, Darnell. If you take a look at it from the standpoint of, okay, there's somebody else in the area that has been doing the same thing. There's only one body that Sykes is being looked at, or Dykes, excuse me, is being looked at. Okay, and her body was cut up. Okay?
Uterman's guys are cut up too, though. He's also,
but they're not in different spots. They're not found in different towns. And in this case, the bodies were.
The other guy did have parts of the bodies in different places.
Can I finish? The situation is they were all in a grouped area. This one had part here, part there. Okay, and there's a DNA match, which was already mentioned, that puts it to him. He had a situation with regards to this was his child. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of other stuff that is going to be going here. The Gilgo Beach murderer is not going to be able to use this for anything other than toss it out there. And I agree with Darnell. You'll toss it out there. But in the long run, it's not going to have any effect on the case.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
No, I was just going to say that the serial killer, Rex Heuermann, he did have body parts in different places. So for that aspect of the case, it is somewhat similar. But I do still believe that given Dykes, he was the father of this baby. I think there was more of a connection here with the mother and the child, but how they ended up, he's in Florida, how this all happened, in New York and how they ended up in this area, that's a question for sure.
Well, it goes way back in time. It goes way back in time. It goes back, the torso was found in 1997. More remains were found along the Parkway in 2011. And baby doe was found in 2011 as they were doing this Gilgo search. But the bottom line, Jessica Taylor, Valerie Mack, two of the Long Island serial killer's alleged victims, had their bodies dismembered and found in different places. So that denominator is there, Al. They're going to jump on that. Both sides are going to jump on that.
There could have been a lot of animals that have done things like that, and there could have been other things going on. You don't have that definitive. In this case, the body was spread out, and it was for the person who had a personal contact with this woman and the child. So it's a lot different than what Rex was looking at.
Let me do Vinny's job. We will see. Coming up next.
What the heck?
Taking that job, Vinny.
All right, let's take a listen. Now, Al, you mentioned the great police work, and it is unbelievable. Let's take a listen to Nassau County Police, how after all these years they were able to identify the final two victims that they've been able to identify, Peaches and Baby Doe.
The first victim is an African-American female. She was located over 27 years ago. On June 28, 1997, her torso was found in the Hempstead Lake State Park, which is located within Lake Mead, New York. This victim had the tattoo you see up on the screen on her chest. It's a heart-shaped peach with a bite out of it with a drop coming from it. Based on this tattoo, the victim has commonly referred to as Peaches. The second victim was Baby Doe. Baby Doe was the second victim discovered just over 14 years ago, on April 11th, 2011. She was found near Ocean Parkway in Babylon, New York, and has been included with the Gilgo Beach murders. This victim was a toddler. She was believed to be 2 years old at the time. She's been referred again as Baby Doe. In 2015, the victims were linked. Through DNA analysis, Peaches was identified as the mother for Baby Doe. Although we linked them together as mother and daughter, we still did not know their identities. In 2020, the FBI assisted us, and the DNA was turned over to their team. They began their investigative genetic genealogy studies, which would eventually lead to the identifications of these victims. Agents and detectives subsequently interviewed family members and obtained DNA samples to confirm the identities through our Nassau County Crime Lab. As a result of this technology, the interviews, the further DNA testing and analysis, we can now provide the names to both victims. Tanya is Tanya Denise Jackson. Tanya was born on October 22nd, 1970 in Alabama. When she was found in 1997, Tanya was 26 years old and a single mother. She was a U.S. Army veteran, as you see her in her fatigues. She was living in Brooklyn, New York. And at the time, she drove a 1991 Geo Storm colored black. This is her daughter, Tatiana Dykes. Tatiana Dykes was born March 17, 1995 in Texas. She's a 2-year-old female, and again, the body was discovered on Ocean Parkway in Babylon, Beach. Again, in 2015, she was linked to her mother through DNA analysis.
Darnell, will the attorneys for the accused Long Island serial killer be able, and do you think they'll want to get all of the records relative to the investigation into the murder of Tanya Jackson and Tatiana Dykes?
I mean, if I was, being a straight shooter, I would imagine that those records will tend to differentiate the two. And so you don't really want that. They would probably believe that there's a difference from the beginning, but they just want to raise this issue to the jury to say, if you have a doubt upon which you can attach reason, that you must acquit their client. But I don't know if they want to go and do a forensic research into getting the records, because that might go against their position as opposed to supporting it.
And once again, pointing out the difference between the prosecution and the defense. We always have to understand it. Prosecution trying to figure out the truth, and the defense trying to defend the accused.